Yes, people, it's your boy Ashmatic on We Are Tottenham TV. I'm going to be analyzing the defeat from Palace versus Spurs 1-0. It was horrific. It's such a shame I have to go through this. But look, let's see if there's any solutions, see if we can see any light. I doubt it. But yeah, we move. Palace versus Spurs. Let's get straight into it with the video here. You're on the back of 3 away defeats. Crystal Palace being the latest one, 1-0. Brighton obviously away at the MX 3-2, and Newcastle at St James's Park 2-1. We lost the ball in that final third 49 times, 7 leading to shots. They had the better of the XG, as you can see. Progressive passing and ball carrying was Romero was the highest, and Porro was our most progressive passer. But we don't want to get into that. In terms of passing into the box, we passed 8 times into the box. I had 3 crosses. They had 4 passes or 4 crosses, and we both had 2 carries. But let's get further into some of these metrics. I want to get into this passing metric because looking at their passing metric, they're very direct. They look towards Eze, they look towards Mitchell on that left-hand side, and they kind of bypassed the whole of our midfield or all of our attacking trio and just went straight to the point. And that's why they had us pinned back and were aggressive and were trying to press us because they knew that we tend to press teams in the final third when they tried to build up. So they were completely different to how they were against Forest. They abandoned their set-off approach and they were going to try and press us and disrupt us building up from the back. And therefore, we're not allowed to, pin teams back on that halfway line. But anyway, just quickly going through our passing metric, you can see on the left-hand side, again, Udogie, Maddison, and Mikey Moore coming in for Heung-min Son. Different relationship. Son was also normally there, but obviously they've got more. Moore's normally he hasn't had that relationship with those players, so you can understand why it was a bit stop and start on that side. However, it was our most progressive side. On the right hand side, a little bit more direct as always, and you can see Solanke's more like shadow kind of Roman striker that drops into midfield at times, and you see Basuma in between the 2 centre backs doing what he does. But yeah, we'll get further into that anyway as we go on. There's the actual momentum bar. There's not much to talk about there. And as I said before, they kind of played with a 3-4-3. You can see their 3 centre backs in their half, but they were really aggressive. All their 4 players, 2 centre mids, 2 wing backs on their halfway line, really high up, and then you've got 3 attackers with Eze kind of drifting and roaming, Mateta being the striker, and Sarr not too far behind. Then our players, again, as I said before, we've got a small trio triangle, a bit more direct on the right-hand side. Mikey Moore on the left is the highest attacking player. And then you've got Maddison quite close to Solanke and Udogie out wide as well, with Basuma in between the 2 centre-backs, as I said before. There was the substitutes. Obviously, Sarr came on. Bentancur's there as well. And you can see we kind of had like a double pivot with the 2 centre midfielders playing a bit deeper. And then you've had Richarlison joining Solanke as the 2 strikers, and then you had a winger in Johnson who stayed on, and Werner, number 16, he was the highest. So it almost looks like a 2-4-4. In fact, some people say it's a 4-2-2, but because our fullbacks are vetted so high, it looks like a 2 with a 4 and a 4 again, if that makes sense. So 2-4-4 is what we played with, which you see Brighton do sometimes as well. Again, just a little bit of stats again. 34% possession Palace had. We had 66% possession. Expected goals was 78.74 for us. 1 big chance to them, 2 big chances for us. 14 total shots to our 11. And just for the duels, they won more of their duels. We got dispossessed more times than them, more ground duels, more aerial duels they won, more interceptions, etc. That was how their team lined up, as I said, in a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1, if you want to be precise, with one of their players in Lama dropping off and Hughes coming on to make a difference. And we pretty much stayed with that 3-4-3 that was a winning side against West Ham. Sorry, a 4-3-3 that played against West Ham. But here we're going to go straight into it. And we're going to look at Spurs. There's a slight issue where we're sometimes playing the back 3, but you're seeing the 2 centre-backs. I've circled them up. And there's a massive gap in between. It could be a slight issue if we don't sort that out, where we need to shift across to kind of stop the distances happening. And this is from minute one, guys. Minute one, this was an issue, and it's something that I need to look at. But yeah, here we are playing out from the back. Spurs also on the ball this time. Vicario's got two options. He can either play it into Mickey van der Ven or he can play it into Romero. I've circled both of them in this instance. What can he do? He passes it out, and this is he finds Basuma. Basuma passes it out from the back. He gives it into Mickey van der Ven. He finds Doggy into Madison. Madison on a half turn. If he beats his team, then we've cancelled out 6 players. So that is the advantage of from playing out the back. If you beat the press, all of a sudden we have the superiority, we have a numerical advantage, and we can get higher up the pitch. So that's the reason why we do it. But when it's not successful, these things can happen. And that's basically when they doubled up on Madison. Lamar gets a challenge in, wins that ball. Wharton not far behind. Basuma tries to back up, but loses the 50-50. It breaks. Eze is unfortunately not for us, not able to get it to Mateta, and a move breaks down on that one. So he fails on that occasion. Here's Basuma in the midfield. People are asking what did Basuma do in the game, but the point with Basuma was to beat the press, which he did on this occasion. Can he find the pass to start that attack? He doesn't. He misplaces the pass, and it goes to a Palace player instead. I've got the arrow there pointing there. Okay, Spurs in possession once again. Goes out wide to Porro. Porro on the ball. As it comes in, can he find Kulusevski? You know, Kulusevski's in that half space, and sometimes he's our outball. He's our person, so physical, so dynamic. He's able to carry that ball up from the pitch at the time. But they had a plan for that. They put 2 players on him. They doubled up, and as a result, they sandwiched him and they won the ball back. They're super aggressive. As I said before, their fullback and the midfielders would sometimes just challenge our players. Here we've got a ball with Porro finding Solanke on the half turn. He actually gets down the channel, beats the man. He has the look. He's got the beating of him. Can he find Mikey Moore? So Mikey Moore can see the shirt number of the Palace player. I think it's Shalaba. Can he get his head up, find Mikey Moore in this space? If he gets it to him, I'm certain that Mikey Moore has a chance on goal. Um, Another chance here where Mickey plays into Vicario. Vicario doesn't know what he wants to do before he gets the ball. And I've pointed an arrow to a Palace player because that's where it goes next. He passes that ball into a Palace place, and he kind of stops our attacking momentum by that mistake. And there was a lot of stop starts in this game. So it really did ruin our momentum. It ruined our rhythm, our flow. And sometimes the game state, when you're trying to get up the pitch, when it's disrupted by mistakes like this, it can result into a calamity of errors. And this is where the goal comes on. And I say calamity of errors because the ball comes into Romero from Vicario, and he actually pauses on it. If you go watch it back, he actually pauses on the ball. Like he's really being indecisive. And as I said before, you need to make your mind up before the ball comes to you. He pauses on the ball, sees the options, sees what's surrounded on him, decides to go back to Mickey van der Ven instead of going into Doggy or instead of going to Basuma. That Mickey van der Ven passes it back to Vicario. Vicario passes it back to Romero. I've circled these 3 players because I'm like, these 3 players are being shadow marked. Basuma does make a run, however, and he does make a run down the side. I'm thinking, Romero, can you make that pass? I've got the arrow on the wrong side. It should be the other side. Can you make the pass to here? Because Basuma's actually available. You can pass it into him, and then we can play out the press. Do you know what I mean? Instead, he doesn't go to the free man. And also, you can see a dog. He's still there, the free man. The ball goes aloft the ball into Van der Ven. So a lot of phases of play happen before it gets into Romero, before it gets into Mickey Van der Ven. Actually goes round like a merry-go-round between the 3 of them. And then being the decisive, playing at the back, causes more issue, invites Palace on. And as the ball bounces, it doesn't let it bounce once, he lets it bounce twice, and it comes across his body, which makes it even more difficult. And that's when they're able to nick the ball from him. I've circled the doggy here. I'm like, can we get that ball to him? He's that free man. Anyway, it doesn't happen. He has to run back, try to block that cross. He's too far away because their wingers created a separation. Wing back, sorry, has created separation between him and the doggy. I've got these 2 players circled. So you've got Romero and Porro. Porro being the fullback. You want your fullback to be marking a player, not the space. and Romero's not really privy to see what's around him. So I've squared them off. I've actually made them, I highlight them too, because they've both been drawn into Eze, because that's what's in their vision. Eze, first time, flick, back heel, on the volley, into Mateta. Mateta knows what to do, gets it out of his feet, shapes the shoot, and puts it in the back of the net, and he celebrates by the corner flag with his teammates. Here we got Doggy passing out to Mikey Moore in an attacking phase when we were getting up the pitch. Mikey Moore knows his pattern of play. We've got two players. Normally, we saw him against AZ take two players on, more technical, more of a dribble kind of merchant type of player, different to what Johnson offers. And I think that's why the fan base is really excited. But they offer two different things on the wing, two different profiles. He passes down into that channel where you see Madison make that run. As always, Madison gets the byline. He does a cutback with Johnson running into the 6-yard box. Johnson hits the post, and unfortunately, it doesn't go to the back of net. Here, I've got Vicario again. There's another playing out from the back, another phase of play. I saw our progress play where he plays the ball directly into a Crystal Palace's player, and we lose possession, and it disrupts our attacking momentum again. Here's Moore on the wide position. Mikey Moore loses the ball. He's pressed really hard, and then he's forced backwards. They double on him. Wharton picks that ball off him. That ball's fired into the wing back. The wing back obviously gets chased down by Madison, and Madison's able to slide tackle it out for a corner. Second half, we've got a set of different instructions, because I did see Big Ange talk to the players, even talk to Porro, because at one time a few players went down injured. It was Kulizeski that went down injured. Porro went out down injured, and maybe a few others I just missed out. But I saw an instruction from Big Ange in the first half, and he was saying, continue to play out from the back, continue. He wanted us to persist with it. But, after the goal, I think he got them in a half time and said, look, we need to be a bit direct, because they've caught on to the way we want to play. And so, just for their sake, Vicario does go along this time, and he plays it into Solanke. Solanke wins the ball. I've highlighted him. He wins the ball, gets his head up, and he fires the ball into Johnson. Remember, I talked about different profiles of wingers, different profiles of forwards. He's a player that wants to tap the space, runs into dangerous areas in straight lines, a bit more vertical, gets on the end of that, finds a pass on the wide channel, crosses it into Kulizeski, who's free. Now, my thing is, can Kulizeski lift it over the keeper? I might be being a bit harsh, because I think maybe Johnson put a lot of pace on it. So he hits it square and it flashes straight into the electric boards rather than across the goalkeeper or on target. But nonetheless, it was a chance. Now, Wharton does the opposite, gets the ball in the midfield, and Palace are very direct. As soon as they get the ball, as soon as Wharton gets the ball, he knows either Eze or Mateta are going to be on the bike. He fires that ball right across the pitch. Eze gets onto his bike. He finishes it first time. Great finish. But lucky for us, it was deemed offside by VAR. Eze, another chance inside the box. That was all past 2 to 3 players. And then that's when you see Mickey van der Ven gets a hand on him. But again, luckily for us, no penalty in the end. And this is a player heavily linked for Spurs. And you're starting to think, do we have anyone on the bench that could change a game? Do we have any different profiles of players, different from a Werner or a Johnson? Unfortunately, as that has quality, that's not a project, because Mikey Moore, obviously, he's gonna, hopefully turn into a top player with seasons to come. Odebear's the same. I think Odebear, I know he played in Premier League last season, but is he ready now? Is he the completed player now, should I say? Do we have a completed player right now? And so this is part of the project in terms of profile players. But yeah, going back to Eze finds space again in that area. He's able to pick out one of his teammates nicely, and Kara is forced to make a save with his legs. And that's the difference between the quality that can create chances that can almost hurt you in almost an instant, because there was no build-up play into that. And sure enough of that, and he said, I need to make some substitutions. And as I said before, it looked like a 2-4-4 in possession. Some people called it a 4-4-2 or 4-2-4. Either way, we had enough attacking players attacking the spaces, and we went a lot more direct once more. And so you can see this on the ball. He wins the ball, tries to fire the ball high over the top into Werner. You know, Werner's down on his bike. It's going to be direct, but it's just over hit for that one. Vicario again, he puts a long ball into Werner. Werner's beaten the offside trap. He's made that run. A great ball from Vicario, by the way. Sorry, Werner controls it well on this one, but his pass pulls Johnson a little bit wide and the chance comes to nothing. So it's just that quality was missing in that final third. Once again, that's what I'm talking about in terms of what we might need if we're going to be pushing for like a top 4 or top 6 position. Again, here, another Wharton ball fired through that midfield. This time it's Mateta, and it's a battle between him and Mickey van der Ven. The argument is he on goal? Does he have a chance to score a goal? Obviously, the referee decided it was a yellow card, and they thought he was going away from goal. So that was the verdict. So Vicario here, another direct ball into Solanke, who holds it up. It's got great strength. Some people say it's a bit like a Emil Heskey, or some people were liking it to Kane, because Kane was really good at holding up that play, being direct for us, dropping into that midfield and passing that ball. Maybe not the same spray as Kane, but again, regardless, he's there to link the play, and he gets it to Johnson. Johnson gets the ball into feet, but unfortunately, Johnson hits the ball a bit too straight, hasn't got the finesse to find any of our forward players. Solanke trying to get in the channel there, that's not able to reach him on that occasion. However, Romero passed the ball onto Porro, who's in a similar position, gets his head up, and he is able to fire that ball, finesses it. Great weight of pass into Richarlison, who's come on. Richarlison in between the two centre backs gets that ball. You can see if he gets his touch right, he's through on goal. Unfortunately, Richarlison, again, talking about quality wise, hasn't got the quality to control that on this occasion, and it goes out wide, and the chance goes begging. Biss on the ball, he wins it high up, plays it into Sarr first time. Sarr on his bike, turns on half turn, finds Porro again, for Porro being our chief creator. Again, as I said at the start of the video, he has the most progressive passes at Spurs in this particular game, fires the ball diagonal. And this is when you need quality in that final third. Balls into a dangerous area, just beats Solanke, and then it finds Richarlison. However, Richarlison doesn't have the quality and the fast, instinctive reactions that you want from a top centre forward, pushing on all fronts, and that chance comes to nothing. It bounces off him, and yeah, that was that. So yeah, man, just going back into some of the tactics, if I can bring them up. What Palace did really well, I said they play with a 3-4-3, but at times what they did was, if their back three was narrow, and Mitchell was, they could sometimes be in a 5-2-3, and when the ball was on one side of the pitch, what you would often see, for example, if Vicario had the ball and he passed it into a Romero, let's get that ball there, and he passed it into Romero, what you would see is Lerma would or Hughes at the time would jump across, Mitchell would jump up, and you'd see Eze in the cover shadow of Porro and Romero. Gray would pull across to Johnson, and you see the crossix right there. Munoz could even jump if need be. Here, Shalaba not far behind, and they could be ultra aggressive if need be. And Mateta will cover the shadow of the goalkeeper and also Basuma. So Romero never had that ball to pass out to Basuma. Basuma trying to be that spare man in these moments. But they did really a good job. Even sometimes they got ultra aggressive and really push high up and tried to double up. Even Eze had a job sometimes in doubling up in this area. If the ball was progressed to Porro, then that was a trap. They couldn't really get it to Kulizeski, and they would swarm our press. They literally swarmed our press, and we had no way of playing at the press, even if we tried to go long, which Vicario tried to do in that first half, which I showed in the shots. That's what their play was. Normally, we'd see Palace play a lot more deeper, but they played up into the halfway line. And even at times, I would see just two of them at the back. So it would be two centre backs here to Marshall, and they would split wide, and that would allow their Palace to be ultra aggressive and push up. And you'd see, obviously, the Crocs could push across here, could have come across here, or you could be aggressive and tight to Solanke if need be. Do you know what I mean? And also, if the ball was on this side, I've already showed how much bodies they will get across. Madison really aggressively pressed by Wharton, always a man onto him. Chalaba, tighten a doggy, which would allow him push hit. Saab could come across Munoz on Van der Ven. And so that's how they kind of swarmed us when playing out from the back. What we need to do differently is, I know some people prefer us to go long, straight into Solanke when that happens. But the purpose is if Basuma's on the ball, he needs to come across here, which I showed in the clips. Romero split across here and make that angle, make Vicario a third centre back. If he's a third centre back, he could potentially outnumber them in this position. And that's where we could get a bit of joy. And once we outnumber them in this press, maybe a doggy drops in here, Madison drops in, becomes a second midfielder, then we've outnumbered them because we've got options here, 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 here. But we need to find different ways to build up to beat their press. Sometimes Kulusevski could drop in, Madison comes in. So it's not always obvious, because then there's Wharton follow Madison over here. There's Kulusevski drop in, Udogie drop into the midfield. Maybe Kulusevski drops over this way, and they have an option. Do they follow him all the way out here? Then Madison's got all this space. Solanke's got space all of a sudden. So we've got to find different ways where two of our attacking midfielders, they need to be able to swap over. And if that's not the option, and we're like, okay, we're playing two attacking, maybe we sacrifice, because Kulu was on a yellow card, could have sacrificed him at halftime, put Sarr on, and left Madison on. If we have left Madison on, had Sarr on, then you've got legs next to Basuma, and that would allow Madison to play more of an attacking 10 role alongside Solanke, and then more could be released here, you know. Or if you wanted to take more off, you could have taken more off, put Madison out wide, and then you could have had an extra midfielder if you wanted in a Bergval. I know he hasn't trusted him so far, but maybe you bring on a Bergval or a Bentancur in this position, and you play with extra solidity with a midfield three, and you outnumber what they have, because they had a four in midfield, but really it was two in midfield they had. So you could possibly outnumber them. Or we could go to a back three and maybe use a Dragushin to match them up. We could match them up with a Dragushin, with a back three, and that way we've got more options, because you got Romero acting like how they perform in their back three with Chalaba and Lacrosse and Guehi, and we just match them up for what they have in the midfield with a two. And then you've got our wing backs in Porro and a doggy to attack. And then it's even Stevens. Madison comes in a bit more, and he's a different profile to a Johnson. He's more of a dribbly type of forward compared to a Johnson who's a running behind. And I think what they tried to do in the second half, when they brought in Richarlison, just to finish up, guys, because I don't want to bore you anymore, with Richarlison coming on, let's take Madison off. I think the job was that the two centre forwards would drop off, and then you would see, also bring on Werner. With Werner on, you'd see Werner attack the space. Bring Werner on. Werner would attack the space here, and you've also got a doggy inverting here, so we would clog up the pitch in these areas. And so when you got one of these guys and you go direct into a Solanke, then Richarlison could run off him, or if both of them come off, does the centre backs have to come in? Do they have to mark these players, which would allow players like a Werner to make runs from out to in? And I think that was what that's what Ange was trying to do. He was trying to make these two wingers attack that type of space in behind, so that this area here was attacked. So, well, yeah, man, we move, man. You know, I think hopefully Ange can learn from these type of things. And it's just a theory of mine. I'm no coach, but that's what I picked up from the game, guys. I hope you like the stream. I hope you found this useful. On the way out, please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and You can find me on Spurs Kings TV, where I'm going to do another dive on this and another player analysis. I'm there every Tuesday, so guys, come check me out, man. But peace and love, and as always, come on